We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. We have an emergency post-College World Series edition of the show. Jones and Adam here with you. Adam is in his car. Like, Adam's car is so nice, he's going to blur his background so you can't even see what it is as he's sitting in the parking lot in Omaha. I am back here in Pod World headquarters, just getting back from the Cradle of American Golf, a proud sponsor here on the pod, Pinehurst #2. I was at the U.S. Open. Adam was at the College World Series. And it is that event, of course, that we are going to focus on. Because, Adam, the Heels do it again. Another dramatic finish. And, again, it's Vance Honeycutt who comes through with a 2-out RBI single in the bottom of the ninth, scoring Jackson Vanderbrake. That's a story in and of itself. But the Heels get enough on the mound, enough at the plate, and just kind of do what they've been doing, and that's do enough to get another big win in the postseason.
You keep wondering, can this keep working, and can you keep waiting until the ninth inning to win the game? So far you can. I mean, it's not against the rules to score more than one run in an inning, and at some point the Tar Heels might want to try that, but right now, why would you? Because you can just do it this way. Great performances on the mound, steady enough defensively, no errors, and clutch at the plate.
Adam, it felt so. Jason DeCaro got the start, and it just felt like he maybe didn't have his best stuff, but he kind of grinded through it and got the outs when he needed to get the outs. The first inning's a great example. I think Virginia had the bases loaded without a hit. I think it was a hit batter and 2 walks. And yet then DeCaro gets a strikeout to end the inning. And so I'm guessing he didn't leave this game thinking that he had his best outing, but he did enough to keep Carolina very much in the game. When he left, it was still 1-1. And again, I especially the walks, I'm sure he wants fewer, but got the outs when he needed to.
Yeah, DeCaro got himself into some trouble and then pretty much pitched himself out of that trouble. So it was a hard outing in terms of just the traffic on the bases. All the pitches were made with runners on base, and it felt like you're always like one big Virginia hit away from them putting up a decent number. But they were never able to get that one big hit because DeCaro was always able to make the pitches. When he wasn't walking people, he was a lot of times striking them out, which has been kind of a theme for him. So I think all in all, remember, he's a true freshman starting the first game of the College World Series. I think all in all, you feel pretty good about that outing because it got enough to enable the Tar Heels to then use their bullpen the way they wanted to and eventually get to Dalton Pence.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point, Adam. Scott Forbes knows the value of winning this first game, and it felt like he handled his bullpen accordingly. Just felt like that was Pence's game at the end, for better or worse, and as it has been for most of the year, in particular here in the postseason, that means for the better. He goes 3 1/3 without allowing a run nor a hit, and shut things down for Carolina. And it felt like Carolina, with him going so long, the Tar Heels were kind of pushing the chips to the center of the table and saying, all right, here's our best guy. We know we got to win this game, and it paid off.
Well, you have to. I mean, if you're trying to win a championship, you have to win that game. And that's what Carolina did. And what a luxury to have a guy who, in many ways, is your closer, but also can go 3 1/3 as your closer and get all those late inning outs. And there's just nobody Carolina feels better with. Andrew Kerrigan was at the game, and it was funny because we were talking and I said, does he remind you of anybody? He goes, he might have a little AC in him. Yeah, that's right.
That's a good thing.
So, I mean, Pence just continues to be exactly what the Tar Heels need in that back end.
Adam, the Jackson Vanderbrake did not start this game, and quite honestly has not started much this year. And this is coming off last season. He was an all-conference player for Carolina, got off to a really difficult start this season, in part because of that start. He lost his job. Of course, some other guys had to step up and take that job from him, which occurred. But I think it speaks a little bit to this team that, and Johnny Castagnazzi is another great example who got a big hit late against LSU in an earlier round. Guys that have played a lot of baseball for Carolina that maybe aren't playing as much as they would like, but have stayed ready. And Vanderbrake has one of the biggest plays of the game where he gets the leadoff double in the bottom of the ninth inning and eventually scores the winning run. And it just feels like that mentality has been a big part of Carolina's success in this postseason.
To me, he's the story because everybody else did pretty much what you expected them to do. I mean, Vance Honeycutt, you just kind of expect him to win the game. And Dalton Pence, you just kind of expect him to come in and mow people down. But where you're not sure what's going to happen, especially in situations like this, is somebody who hasn't played in front of a sellout crowd in Omaha before and has been sitting on the bench for 3 hours and hasn't had regular at-bats in 3 months and comes in against a tough pitcher, gets down in the count. I think it was 2-2. He's got 2 strikes on him in a spot in the lineup where Carolina has had no contact all day and is able to just get enough of it to squeeze it inside the line down there. And it really felt like once he got on second base, the Tar Heels were going to figure out some kind of way to get him those next 180 feet to score the game's winning run, and that's what they did.
There's a million baseball more than any other sport. There's these moments of decision throughout the game that affect the end result. And twice Scott Forbes elected to bunt, and twice his team executed. Once was in the, I believe, 7th inning, where Carolina got the leadoff man on, bunted to second, and eventually scored to tie the game. And then again in the 9th, after that double to bunt, Carolina executed, got the runner to third, and eventually scored. And again, I mean, it could have gone the other way, and you sit here and go, why was he trying to bunt right there? But those were the decisions made. Carolina executed, and that execution of the decisions ended up helping to win.
I think so many times with baseball coaches, it's very much like getting hot shooting a basketball. Sometimes you just get hot making the calls, and the calls you're making are working out. You could have gone to somebody like Castanasi there in the 9th inning, but instead, for whatever reason, he decided to push the Vanderbrake button. You could have not bunted in both those situations. Scott Forbes decided to, and it worked out both times. It doesn't mean that every button he pushes the rest of the stay in Omaha is going to work out that same way. But right now, it feels like he just has a really good feel for this team and has a really good grasp on what's the best way to put them in position to score the runs they need to score.
So 3-2 the final. Adam, what else? You boots on the ground there in Omaha. What's the feel there? What's the mood around the team? What are some of the storylines that maybe people don't know unless you're there?
Ton of former players here, more than I've ever seen out here in Omaha, and it's from all eras. You've got some of the 1960 guys, you got 78 guys, 89 guys, and then what we think of as the more recent group starting in 06. And just so great to see them all back together. A whole lot of them sat together today and were able to watch the game, and a couple of them were saying, we never really got to do this because we were down there pointing to the dugout. We never got to sit here and watch a game and enjoy it just with each other. And they've all got their kids. Dustin Ackley was sitting in the stands. He was sitting with his kids on his lap, eating a pretzel, sitting next to Mike Fox as they talked about the game. I mean, how many times have those two watched baseball together, but never quite like that? So that was fun to see. Don't forget, Omaha really likes the Tar Heels.
Oh, yeah.
Real positive reception to Carolina everywhere you go here when you're wearing Carolina stuff. People saying, they're from Omaha, but have cheered for the Tar Heels for a long time. So that's always nice to see. And then now you get, you've extended your stay automatically. You'll be here till at least Tuesday, and you get to play in a huge game on Sunday night, prime time, against what'll be a really good team, either Tennessee or Florida State.
Yeah, that was going to be my final point, is just that. And you and I talked about this on the audio podcast that came out earlier this week. These are 8 excellent teams that have advanced to Omaha this year. I legitimately think any one of the 8 can win the national championship. So that is what a massive game. As Adam and I are recording this, we don't know if it will be Florida State or it'll be Tennessee, but it's going to be a really high level team that Carolina plays on Sunday, and so they'll have to play very well. But man, what an exciting day, an exciting win. And Adam, we can retire the stat. No longer is it that Carolina has only won a game in Omaha where Mike Fox is either a player or a coach. Scott Forbes and his staff have changed that. Of course, Coach Fox was out there cheering him on, but what a great moment for Coach Forbes too, to go out there and get this win. And job's not done, but man, what a it's a great feeling to win game 1 out there.
Yeah, and Tar Heels are going to send Shea Sprague to the mound on Sunday night. So as you're getting ready for that game, go back and listen to his interview on the pod, because here's a guy Carolina didn't even think would be on the roster last year at this time. Tar Heels go out and get him in the transfer portal. Now he's just going to go out and start the biggest game in the last 6 years or so. So a really well assembled team that is hitting the right buttons right now.
So Carolina, at what time? What time is the game? Is it 7 o'clock Eastern time?
7 o'clock Eastern. Yeah,
7
Eastern.
Eastern. Okay, Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. Carolina and the winner of the Tennessee-Florida State game. And it's such a huge advantage to start 2-0 in this format. If you do so, you haven't guaranteed yourself an advancement, but you've put yourself in terrific position to do so. So great day for Carolina with the 3-2 win. Vance, we didn't even talk about Vance Honeycutt. Ho-hum, another walk-off hit for Vance Honeycutt. Just make it happen. And by the way, Casey Cook being 3 for 4, I think played into Virginia pitching to Vance Honeycutt instead of pitching around him to get to Cook, because Cook had swung such a good bat during the ball game. Adam, am I missing anything else?
No, other than good call there, because Vanderbrake actually said that after the game. We were saying, were you surprised standing there on third base that they were pitching to Vance Honeycutt? And he said, well, I think they knew if they walked him, then they had to deal with Casey Cook, who they hadn't been able to get out. So, yeah. Jones, you and Jackson Vanderbrake, similar baseball minds.
That's what I've always thought. What we did think is that a great win for Carolina as they advance into the winner's bracket in Omaha with yet another walk-off win, 3-2, the victory over Virginia. That'll do it for us on an emergency College World Series edition. Adam, go get yourself a steak. Go to the go get a whiskey fillet there at the Drover.
I'm in.
Yeah, Adam's. I'll just go home, Adam. No big deal. I'll just go home. You go have a whiskey fillet. That'll do it for us. Thanks for joining us here on another edition of the Carolina Insider.